Hi, I'm Andy from Doves. When you come by and check out Revolution.
You know, we were working on 12, 15 songs, whether they were sub. I mean, I guess they were sub because we hadn't, you know, the name Doves hadn't appeared yet. But we knew it was going to be sort of different. The music, the way it was evolving, was different. And you know, and Andy and Jez, I was happy to keep the name Sub, just to two fingers in the way. It's like, you know, you think you've got us pigeonholed. You know, why can't we evolve? You know, how dare you that, you know, scratch your head and go, well, but you do that. Well, no, we don't. Now we don't do that. You know, so, you know, but I also could see the logic. It's like, let's just break with the, you know, let's have a break from the past, man. And, you know, and same people, just a different name, different sound. I don't know about any movement. I mean, there's a bit of a change in Manchester. It's gone back to life. I mean, all the clubs shut about 5 or 6 years ago on account of like a lot of violence and drug. You know, the same old story. And a big live music scene kicked in again. So if there's any scene, it's just that. You know, I mean, this Twisted Nerve label is, you know, really doing good stuff. Damon's label in Andy Hotel. And they've got Alfie. They've got Mum and Dad. They've got Seconical, Dakota Oak. You know, there's a lot of good bands happening again in Manchester. Elbow, their album's stunning. They're friends of ours. You know, it's like, it's great. I love people like Mark Collis out of Talk Talk and Scott Walker and people like that. And just great songwriters, you know. That's what I just like to aspire to be. I'm not, you know, I'm nowhere near in their league. You know what I mean? I want to be. I'm a team. You know, I like bouncing off them too. You know, and I like that collaboration thing. I'd love to be a one-man army, but I'm not. You know, and you know, I admire people like that. People, you know, even like people like Ron Sexsmith and just great, you know, troubadours. You know what I mean? It's, you know, quite upbeat so far. There's a couple of tracks that are quite joyous, and you know, there's one track it's got like a sort of real Latin Brazilian outro with like loads of samba drums and stuff. You know what I mean? It's a sort of morphs into this samba thing, which is dead nice, dead joyous. So you know, it's different. You know, there's still that sort of filmic, wistful vibe. You know what I mean? I don't like to say melancholy because I don't feel it like that. You know, I mean, there's always, you know, this depends on what mood you're in. You can either find it upbeat, that Lost Souls, or it's like, oh yeah, play it again. You know, like when you want to be, sort of, you know, it fit each mood.
I mean, I suppose our sort of transformation from Doves, from Sub to Doves, is yeah, it's been over a span of 10 years, really, and you know, I suppose a lot can happen in those 10 years. So I'd say that Sub was mainly kind of underground dance, kind of sort of sound to it. I mean, and then that went over the course of about, I don't know, 6, 7 years, and then we kind of slowly morphed into Doves after a period of time, really. And it was quite a natural sort of transformation for us, you know. We're not really aware of movements. We don't feel as though we're in one, that's for sure. I mean, when we wrote Lost Souls, we wanted our own identity, because at the time we were doing that was all the Britpop thing was happening, and we didn't want anything to do with that. So we kind of stepped more into the realm of sort of film music. You know, for us musically, we thought that sort of set us apart from the rest at the time. So, you know, but now we're part of a movement, apparently. I really like the Velvet Underground and Lou Reed, you know, and he's definitely a survivor, isn't he? I mean, all the classics, you know, Bowie, you can't, you know, all those kind of greats, you know. But I think there was I admire a lot of bands who weren't actually together for a long time. I mean, I really like bands like the Smiths. I mean, in the whole scheme of things, they're only together for 6, 7 years, but they achieved an awful lot, you know. And in my band's the musical output of the Smiths, I really liked, and they're a big influence. And New Order, you know, really like New Order. God, there's lots of bands, but I always draw a blank when I get asked. I don't know. I'd like to think try different areas, you know, that we haven't gone into before. You know, well, to be a little bit more experimental. Try and maybe mix a little bit more technology with what we've got. But I suppose there's a certain knack to that. It's trying to keep it natural without forcing kind of technology in there for the sake of it. But yeah, you know, I think we a bit more experimental, but within the kind of parameters. We know what our parameters are, so we've got room to manoeuvre in those parameters. And I think we could be a bit, you know, more, try and get it a bit more freer. But, you know, not afraid of electronics, you know, we use anything. So I think a little bit more electronic, hopefully.
Maybe the instruments we're using and, you know, and the sounds we're using, you know, are different. Obviously, you know, it's more guitar-based. But then Sub, the later songs, Sub were more guitar-based. But the attitude's not changed at all, really. It's just maybe the approach, you know, with obviously Jimmy singing most of the songs, whilst in Sub we tended to use more sort of guest vocalists. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably the major thing, really. You know, obviously we'd love to do really well here, but we know it's not a matter of coming over 3 weeks and conquering America. We're not that naive, you know. We know it's a long haul, but yeah, we would love to do really well here, you know. I think anyone who said they wouldn't is lying, you know. Say somebody like Neil Young, you know, but even, mind you, he went through a bit of a dodgy patch in the 80s like most people did, you know. But someone like Neil Young I saw live last year, and I didn't, you know, I'm a big fan of the records, but I didn't really expect it to be. I thought, oh no, it's going to be this old duffer on stage, you know. But he was brilliant. It was, you know, well, you know, he was just really good, you know, and he seems to have sort of handled himself with a lot of dignity and stuff, you know. We're only sort of halfway through it, really, so, you know, it's quite nice not to know how it's exactly going to sound. That's part of, you know, the good thing about, you know, making an album. But it's not, you know, the new tunes or anything to go off. It's probably a bit more up, you know, a bit more upbeat. You know, maybe sort of a bit more positive, actually. But I don't know, that could all change, you know. But yeah, it's definitely different in vibe to Lost Souls, anyway.